My name's Corporal Myers. This is Specialist Taylor. This is Sergeant Roan. Today we are going to be breaking down individual movement techniques when it comes to bounding and squad movement techniques under fire. So what that looks like, what bounding is going to consist of a 3 to 5 second rush. You're going to be down in the prone. Specialist Taylor, get down in the prone. So when you're taking fire, you're going to hit the dirt. And when you hit the dirt, you're going to be down in this similar position. When you do the 3 to 5 second rush, you're going to rush for 3 to 5 seconds. A good technique to remember in your head while you're running is I'm up, they see me, I'm down. What the benefit of the 3 to 5 second rush is aiding you in keeping concealment so the enemy does not get a beat on your location and direct their fire your way under combat. So what that's going to look like, Specialist Taylor, do a 3 to 5 second rush for me real quick. I'm up, they see me, I'm down. Do another, Specialist Taylor. I'm up, they see me, I'm down. And you see how he's using both of these trees as a point of concealment. What that aids in is the enemy not being able to pick you out and set a field or from a tactical advantage point. If the enemy initializes fire, usually they're going to do it from a point that's advantageous to them. So you're going to find a point that's advantageous to you in keeping concealment or cover from enemy fire. Breaking down concealment and cover. Concealment is an object such as grass, wood, foliage that can be penetrated by enemy fire. Cover is something that cannot be penetrated by enemy fire. So something, say, like those brick walls over there, or these pylons that Sergeant Smith has behind her over here, those are going to be cover from enemy fire. Another thing that we need to kind of get into before we continue is point post sprawl. What this aids in is positive weapon control. So basically what it is, when you're bounding up, you're gonna keep your shooter stance. So what that looks like is your knees bent, your chest up to the enemy, and about shoulder width apart. Specialist Taylor is going to show you what that looks like. So basically, if you notice when he went down, go ahead and get up, Specialist Taylor. We're going to break that down to some movements for him. You're going to notice that he has his weapon up and down range. He has a good shooter stance with his back straight up and his knees bent. What that helps do is keep your plate towards the enemy and keeps the vulnerable spots on the sides less exposed. So now he's going to post. Notice how he has his hand on the ground when he goes down, and then he sprawls his legs out. What that helps do is keep positive weapon control down range. You're not going to want to be flagging your buddy beside you or anything like that when you're bounding. Another fundamental of basic individual and buddy team movement techniques is going to be successive and alternating bounding. So basically what successive and alternating bounding is when you take fire, it's a movement under fire technique. So you're going to have both be in the prone, and then one of you is going to be laying down fire for the other while the other one is moving. So Specialist Taylor, lay down fire, and Sergeant Roan, bound up. Moving. Make sure you keep a good point post sprawl, 3 to 5 second rush. He's going to yell back to this guy that he's set. And then when he's set, this guy's going to yell out he's moving. Moving! Alrighty, now that you see they're both online, they're both putting fire down towards the enemy right now. He's set. Sergeant Roan's going to yell out that he's moving. Moving!
All passengers.
And now that he's set, he's going to continue laying fire down range towards the enemy. So what that's going to do is Specialist Taylor's going to yell out that he's moving. Moving! He yells out that he's set. Set! The purpose behind yelling out, moving, and set for you being recruits is going to make sure that you get that muscle memory to be aware of where your partner is at all times. That way you have cover going down range, because otherwise there's going to be a lull in the firefight and the enemy can get a bead on your position. So in the last block of instruction, we explained what successive bounding is. So basically, to recap, Successive bounding is when Sergeant Roan went up there and the Specialist Taylor got online with him during the 3 to 5 second rush under contact. So basically, now we're going to explain to you what alternating bounding is. So what alternating bounding is Sergeant Roan will do his 3 to 5 second rush, and then Specialist Taylor is going to do his 3 to 5 second rush twice past him. All right, so we're gonna give you a visual on what this looks like. All right, go ahead and get in the prone, guys. All right, Sergeant Roan, go ahead and bound. Move it. All right, notice that he said moving while he's moving, and Specialist Taylor is still laying down fire down range. So now that Sergeant Roan said he's set, Specialist Taylor is going to pick up and move. Moving! Notice how he gets on the ground during the 35 second rush and continues to bound. This will aid you in keeping concealment and avoiding getting hit by enemy fire. Now that he says he's set, Sergeant Roan is going to go ahead and pick up and move forward. Specialist Taylor is going to continue laying fire down range. So now Specialist Taylor is going to get up online with Sergeant Roan and get down on the ground. Now he's set. So this, once you're done bounding through, is your limited advance. So if you are bounding through the objective and you hit your LOA, you're going to yell out LOA. That means limited advance. That's going to let the rest of your team know that this is as far forward as you're going to go. LOA. LOA. All right, so the two things of individual movement techniques that we need to cover that we didn't cover earlier are going to be the low crawl and high crawl. What the high crawl, which Specialist Taylor is going to demonstrate for you right now, consists of, go ahead and high crawl, Specialist Taylor. He's got his weapon either cradled or grabbed in both arms, and he's using both of his elbows to move forward, and he's on both of his knees and the toes of his feet to move forward. He's also scanning during this whole time. You would use this under direct fire from the enemy or indirect fire from the enemy, and then you would also use it while you're cresting a like a ridge or something of that nature, so you don't skyline yourself so the enemy does not see you. And then you would also use this in terrain that where like standing or crawling or kneeling would not be applicable. Next thing we're going to show you is the low crawl. Go ahead and demonstrate the low crawl, Specialist Taylor. Notice how he was dragging one leg and grabbing with the other leg, and he is using the tip of his toe to move forward. He's also got his hand on the forward part of his weapon. You're going to want it cradled on your arm and going over your shoulder. And every 3 to 5 seconds, you are going to want to scan and see where you're going. And that's basically how the high crawl's done. So outside we covered basic individual movement techniques and basic team movement techniques such as bounding, and then the I'm up, they see me, I'm down, that consists, where it's a building block of bounding essentially. So now we're gonna get a little bit more advanced. We're gonna go into team movement techniques. We're gonna go through 4 basic team, I guess you could say, formations. One of which is gonna be the file, the next is gonna be the stagger column, and then you're gonna have the wedge and the line. So what those are gonna look like is the fire team wedge is gonna be just like this. It is depicted on the board. It's going to be the team leader at point, then you're gonna have the grenadier and the rifleman on either side. This is reversible, as you can see. The team leader is going to make the discretion on which side to put his automatic rifleman and grenadier and rifleman based on which side that they're expecting contact. That's known as being contact heavy, and that's usually going to be delivered by your higher ups in a mission briefing. So this is the basic construction of a fire team wedge. You're going to use these this formation when you are like in more of an open area. It's also good for covering ground with, it provides really good frontal security. Side security in a single fire team wedge isn't as great. When you're a squad wedge, it's going to be a lot better. And yeah, moving on, we're going to go into a file. So basically what the fire team file consists of is the team leader on point. You're gonna have your automatic rifleman right behind him, your grenadier, and your rifleman bringing up the rear. This is gonna be good for covering the most ground in rapid succession as you can, or beating your feet as you will. So the frontal protection, as you can see, isn't the best, but the security to the side is probably one of the better ones that you'll ever see. So keep in mind that if you are in a terrain that is likely for enemy contact, unless you're actually moving with a base of fire to go flank, this is not an ideal formation to move through. You'll also use this to move through terrain that is very, very, I guess you could say heavily vegetated, or if you need to move through a wadi where it provides the best concealment for you and your element, then this is one that you will use in order to conceal your movement. Okay, so moving over to the whiteboard that we have drawn up over here, you can see that the two formations that we just discussed on the screen over there are present, as well as the other two being staggered column and line. So this is the staggered column. This is going to be the point man. Either your team leader or your rifleman will be on point. That's going to be kind of a unit operating procedure. But here we have the rifleman on point. It's going to be rifleman, team leader, grenadier, and automatic rifleman bringing up the rear. So basically what this does is it helps kind of mesh the element together. So if you're doing like a road march or something like that and take fire from the front, you're not putting everybody in at risk as you would be on a team file. This also helps you getting on line to this direction should you take fire to the rear, as your sectors of fire are not, I guess, interrupted by your other teammates. Now, this is best for use on like road march formations. If you're out on a patrol, I've seen it used a lot. If you're moving through like a city or basically anything of that nature. It provides decent frontal and great side security, I guess you could say, as far as moving it for like movement to contact. This would still be the preferred method of travel. Moving down, you have a line. So the line is going to be what you go to for any sort of firefight situation. So if you're in a wedge, and keep this in mind, this is actually pretty important. If you're in a wedge and you take contact, all these people in the wedge are going to want to get online so that they're all even with each other. What that helps you do is keep a good interlocking sector of fire going forward. So it helps you engage and destroy the enemy a lot more effectively. You don't have to worry about flagging your buddy to the side or anything like that. Keep in mind when you're in line, it's not going to look like a perfectly straight line. You're going to want to find the nearest position of cover concealment around you while you're on line. It's great for use of base of fire, and it's what we also use for limit of advance. So it's also going to be used for your flanking element during like a battle drill 1 alpha, which we'll get into later. And then it's going to be your primary assaulting element is going to be online as well as they assault through the objective.